And welcome. We're back. It's 13 and 1. Guess what? We've been away for a while, but now I'm back. We're doing a great show. We have a great guest. Again, I'm Francis Feltry. And don't forget that to hit the like button, the subscribe button. 13 and 1 is indebted to our listeners, to our viewers. So we try to give you good entertainment for your dollar. Well, because you don't have to pay anything. You've already made out, you know? So, with all that, I'm pleased to announce a good friend, a dear friend, somebody who I've known for a pretty good stretch of time, but I haven't seen for a while. So, let me introduce Susan Skosko. Susan, welcome to 13 and 1.
Thank you, Francis. I'm so excited to see you.
Yeah. 13 and 1 is the talk show that's kind of like a game show, but there are no prizes. So sorry. So Susan, first of all, we're gonna kind of go through the questions here. Probably, I'm really bad at counting off, so I'm gonna try to keep track, but I'm really bad at that. But with first question is you well, why don't we talk a little bit about how do I know you? Question number one: how do we know each other?
We've been doing improv and theater together for like 20 years.
Is it 20 years?
It's got to be 20 years.
At least.
Yeah. And I thought it was with Tony and Tina's, but
no, he did a show, I believe, with Acorn Production. We weren't in the same show together. I mean, we were in the same show, but we didn't have a scene together because it was a bunch of vignettes, right?
Yes.
I do remember you had to wear a teddy. I do remember that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I recycled the robe. I just wore it over a dress for a negligee thing with Chuck. He did It Shoulda, a musical. Mm-hmm. It was the Pittsburgh area premiere a couple of years ago.
Oh wow, okay. And so do you sing as well? I don't remember seeing you sing. Or hear you sing.
Say I can act myself out of a paper bag. No, I sing a little bit.
Okay.
I wasn't trained
okay.
in musical theater. I was trained in straight theater.
Okay. All right. Now, that's another question that I'll kind of tag with that one. Where did you get your training? Because I think you went to Penn State. Yeah.
Yes. I went to Penn State, Maine, Happy Valley.
I like how you add your own sound effects. That's awesome. Do you do that normally? Is that something you just kind of do? I didn't notice that before.
Oh, I do that sometimes. It's a part of my acting shtick.
I see.
Well, I remember trying to go to the games, but it seemed like we just ended up in the tailgates. And I remember them passing the Nittany Lion all the way up to the top, and they would go.
So somehow between all this fun, you've got a degree in a fine arts degree in acting.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
It was difficult because I had to go that extra year.
Okay.
Well, I started out at the branch campus.
Oh, I see.
In Worthington, Scranton.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to take so many classes and then audition.
Oh, I see.
And that was what I wanted. The whole time I wanted to audition for the acting major.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I did take an acting class at the branch campus, but when I went down, nobody told me that I could just not take the class and just audition. And I thought I had to have 2 years of acting classes at the main campus. So not even my guidance counselor told me that.
Oh.
But here's the thing. I know other people that did not take the 2 years and just didn't get in.
Mm.
You know, there's that. And there's also, they only took 6 people.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it was, I have to say that was, and it was like a conservatory. So I do have to say that it was difficult, but that was what I wanted. And I really didn't even think I was going to get accepted.
Well, that's great. That's great. Now, since that time, like I said, we've done some shows together, and we did the Acorn production, which is one of my all-time favorite places I ever performed in, was at that old age home. It was the like the dinner, like the dining hall of an old age home.
DeQuino Club.
Yeah. And I mean, I used to love, you'd look out now. They would have a Friday and Saturday night show, and those would be kind of normal crowds. But the Sunday show, that was the senior citizen show. So, and there was food involved too. That was the other beautiful thing about that show. There was food involved, and Sunday was always pork chops and applesauce. I swear that was a popular meal at what was that again? What club was that called?
At the DeQuino Club.
The DeQuino Club, yes. And you could get any alcohol you got there would always come with a maraschino cherry.
Oh.
So very, very hip place, very happening. That show was funny. Yeah, that was a funny place. The one other thing I remember is I had the scene with Maria,
Hernakis.
and yeah, I know her name, and then I can't pronounce it today. But she one time she was supposed to throw me on the couch, and we had worked it out, and there were always pillows there. One time the pillows had fallen off, and she threw me down, and I sort of fall back, and I hit the arm of the chair, and it was like made out of metal. And I remember just like there was like this big thud, and I saw stars for a moment. So anyway, so all right, so
that was an ingenue rule for me. So I don't remember too many of those.
Yeah. I've never had an ingenue role myself, so, or a leading man. I'm never the leading man. I'm always the sidekick, the humorous, whatever. But you know, what are you going to do? You play to your strengths, right?
There was a priest that sat in front of me. Mm-hmm. That was terrifying.
You mean during that show?
Yes. That was probably the most sexiest outfit I ever wore. And he's right at my feet. And I'm like,
I remember that. I do remember that because he came to more than one show.
I'm like, you're not seriously sitting him right under at the end of my foot. You're not seriously. And from then, though, I did learn something. Doing dinner theater, don't ever sit on the floor in a restaurant.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, don't. No. Now, okay, so let me ask you this. Now, the other show we did together was Tony and Tina's Wedding. But before I get specifically into that, I want to know what has been the favorite play that you've ever appeared in, and this is question number 3. And what character was your favorite character? Maybe it might be two different answers. So, what's been your favorite play?
Is a difficult question because, you know, sometimes in my head it changes depending upon where I am. Because, like you said, you're a character actor, and they used to throw me in the things that they couldn't fill, and it might have been totally wrong for me, but one play that I do remember when I play, and I would love to play this part again because now I'm that age. I played Fraulein Schneider in Cabaret.
Oh, okay, great, good.
And I played that at the Worthington Scranton campus.
Okay.
I had bronchitis really bad
I
in
probably worked for
college.
that character.
What?
I probably worked for that character.
Well, I came home and the gentleman, the teacher at the branch campus, was doing the show, and I played Fraulein, and I would like to play Fraulein again. And I really enjoyed the way he put it into perspective. He directed the show many times, and I just like it was very meaningful to
Mm-hmm.
me how just taking the war into consideration and everything that's going on in that play. And I also enjoyed being Birdie in the club, where there were 7 women playing 7 men.
Okay.
That's not done a lot.
I don't know that. I don't even know that show.
It's not done a lot. They did it my senior year, and I was the lead in my senior
Oh
year.
wow. Okay.
And I really enjoyed it because we had the costumes. We had the costumes that were fit for us. We had them built with different pieces to make us even feel like men.
Mm-hmm.
Shoulder pads and by your waist they put padding on our waists. So it was
You know what? I
really
still do that. Put padding on my waist. It's called I'm getting heavier as I get older.
we all are.
So anyway, sorry.
That's why we show us from here up.
So they would do all this. And was it hard to like how much time did it take you to get ready for that show? This is question.
A lot.
Oh, I'm
Be-
sure.
because it was the turn of the century. So it was set like in the 1900s, like 1904, 1905.
Right.
And it was all tails,
Mm-hmm.
top hats, spats,
Mm-hmm.
and facial hair. So some people had mutton chops. I had a mustache, and the costumers loved me because apparently I don't sweat. Except, and they had, because we're dancing. It was a singing show, and we're dancing and etc. And actually, I played Birdie, where I'm a woman playing a man, but in a scene within the play, I play a woman.
Okay.
So I'm a woman playing a man playing a woman.
But they're all women playing men.
Yes.
But you're a woman playing a man playing a woman.
Yes. I'm the only one that did that.
Okay.
So then I put my voice up an octave like this.
Oh.
Because when I was a man, it was down here.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Was there a Zoom lag? So you heard that a little later.
No, we're good. We're good.
But the hard part about that is the only part. Guess what? The only part on me that sweats.
You know what? I'm afraid to say.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you.
I don't want. You don't want me to guess because I just go.
My face.
Really?
It's my
Not
face.
what I would have guessed.
And
by the way, just a little disclosure there. That's not what I was going to guess.
I know you so well.
So it's a good thing you told me. So your face sweats.
My lip, especially. And they had made, okay, the producer of Penn State's theater department was also the makeup producer. So he had all kinds of makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually made us mutton chops. Like that was somebody's project. They had to rug hook these mutton chops.
That was like their senior thesis for art class. I have to make these mutton chops. Yeah,
makeup class, and I never understood why that couldn't count as an art. So I took the class, but it didn't count as an art. So I had to go and take another art.
That's ridiculous. What did it count as? An acting class?
It counted as a theater class.
Oh, as a theater class. Interesting.
And so anyway, he made my mustache.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was sweating. Mm-hmm. And we're into the last stage of rehearsal, and somebody goes, "Birdie," and pulls my mustache off in the show. It's like dress rehearsal. Oh. And the assistant director took a fit, which I'm glad. I'm glad she took a fit. God rest her soul. She was in Philadelphia Story. She had a cameo at the end.
Philadelphia Story, the Jimmy Stewart, Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, sorry. Tom Hanks,
Oh,
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Okay, good. Just checking. I was gonna say, wow, she was, but so she was in Philadelphia with Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington. Another fine
Yeah.
movie, by the way.
Yes, yes. Peg French. She had a cameo at the funeral.
Oh,
She might have been the mother.
nice.
But they from then on, the teacher decided to put my mustache on hair by hair. So I had to sit there. I had to sit there for 20 minutes while he put my mustache on hair by hair.
My, that's sort of like me shaving. I have to, because I'm still waiting for my facial hair to meet. So, but no, but that just shows how much preparation goes into a show, which I don't think people realize.
I know.
And which I don't even realize now that I just do solely improv. I don't. The last show I did was maybe 3 years ago, where I played a rooster, and so that's the last role I did, and yeah, it's a lot of preparation. So, what was and question number 5? What was the last show you did before coronavirus?
Oh, gee. It
Because
was
I thought I read in your that bio you had saw. So, did
uh,
you, because a
on
couple got
stage.
canceled. I did see that. Did get a couple of shows canceled because.
Yeah, on stage. On stage, it was probably with Mystery's Most Wanted.
Okay, all right. Now,
Oh, I
Mystery
do.
is a murder mystery show.
Yes. It was that. And then the one before that was funny you should say. We played women dressed up as men, and that was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Uncle John in the men's room.
Oh, okay.
And that other photo, it's the same author. And we were trying to, we were, she wrote the story. She wrote the story on a picture. So it was a new play, and it was really interesting. She had us dress up as men because we were waiting outside the men's room. We were looking for my cousin's father.
Mm-hmm.
It was in New York. It was at the Medicine Show Theater in New York. So
Oh,
that was the
wow.
last. That was at the last one that I did in New York, and that was also with Cosmic Orchid.
Oh, okay. Good, good. So so you also do improv too. So has that been a gradual thing? Because I mean, I know you've been doing, you did obviously Tony and Tina's Wedding with me, and there is improv involved. How a bit, I don't know if that was something you've sort of fallen into, or has it been something more recent, or, how did you get involved with improv?
Well, in my classes, in a lot of my classes, they do improv with
Mhm.
acting, but it's kind of a different type. And what's really interesting is one of the people that I improv with, he sent me uh, this book, and I started to read it, and I'm like, oh, that's the acting improv. I did that, but I did all that years ago.
Mhm.
Uh, I was I work for my friend, and we go around trade shows.
All right.
And we were in Virginia. And I like improv, and I've always liked improv. And I like the thought that improv, you can get up and you don't have to you don't have to practice. I mean, you do
You
practice, but
practice the games and the format and the style, but you don't have to memorize lines.
right, right. And that really is appealing to me
Yeah,
lately.
sure.
And we do improv too with Mysteries Most Wanted.
Sure.
We improv with the audience, etc.
Mhm.
But I really wanted to get back into it. And we were in Virginia, and on the strip in Richmond, Virginia, there's this cute little theater, and it said improv show tonight, 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. So
Mhm.
I said, let's go in, and it's 2 drink minimum. And we went in, and it was a very long hall, which was really neat. And then they just set the audience up, and the stage was there, but it was like only like two or three seats deep, but then there was like 20 that going the long ways in front of the stage. in front of the stage. So I went to it. I'm like, wow, this is really cool.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I really wish that where I lived there was something like that. And anyway, we were back and forth, back and forth. And right before the pandemic, I did take a class in my hometown.
Mhm.
It just so happened that I was here a couple Mondays when they were having it, and I was also doing a reading in New York. So it was just like great. I could come, I could do the class, and my reading was on Tuesdays, and my rehearsal was on Tuesdays in New York. And my parents' house is like 2.5 hours from New York City, so it was just perfect.
Great.
So I took the class, and that's how I got back into it. And I've just been through the pandemic, there's so many people improving online, and that's how I was trying to catch a friend's show and I saw you, and I'm like, wait a minute, Francis didn't have blonde hair before, but that
It's
looks good.
gray. It's not blonde, but yeah,
That,
gotcha.
you had the wig on,
Oh, right, right, right. My props, my props. Right,
and
exactly.
you were playing a lady.
Right, exactly. It's Sugar Bear is one of the characters that go with that. Sugar
I
Bear.
never saw you play a lady before, so you had the wig on. And I've been talking about you. I always remember you. Oh, he played the priest, and we did
Oh,
Tony and Tina's wedding, and he was always into improv. He would go to improv at night after the show. They used to have these late shows. I'm almost sure he did midnight improv. And I've been talking about you. Like, I talked about you to the Scranton improvers
wow.
because I'm like, the audience isn't getting too close, are they?
And then you told him, but see, you didn't know the exact story, so
I didn't. Well, yeah, but I've had situations
sure.
with.
Well, yeah. Do you well one? Do you have one that you would share, like as question number 7, like a stage? Like I've had like when I did stand up, I've had people try to come up on stage and take the microphone, and not the owner, like some drunk.
Yeah, I
But I've
I
had
do.
like obnoxious people who think they're helping the show by by heckling. So what do you have any stories like anything that you care to share? I'm kind of these are kind of thrown at you, so it's okay if
No,
you
that's
say
okay.
you
Uh,
pass.
I was playing the Russian in Mysteries Most Wanted, Mobsters, Moles, and Marinara. I was playing the Russian
Yeah.
fortune teller. And I don't. I wear a red wig, and it's not a great wig, so I don't know if this guy thought I was a guy or what.
Hmm.
But he hauled off. He was drunk. He hauled off, and he went to punch me.
What?
Yeah, and this, mind you, this was at a country club.
Mm.
It was at a country club, and it was a private party.
Mm-hmm.
And they all asked me, the audience, they fed us, they do that sometimes,
Sure.
and they wanted to buy us drinks, and I said, no, no, no. I said, you can buy me a drink. I said, after my monologue, then you can buy me a drink.
Okay.
So they were all drunk, and this
Mm-hmm.
guy hauled off and punched me.
What?
And and then and somebody had the audacity to say, I don't know, how
Yeah.
could that be my fault? How could that be my
Yeah.
fault?
That's weird. Yeah, you know what? That's another thing I remember from Tony and Tina's wedding. There was, and you might not have had to deal with it as much because you were working as the caterer, so you didn't have to. There were certain members in the cast; their characters had to dance
Yeah.
with the people. And I will tell you, I've been groped, I've been molested. I remember one of the actresses. I won't mention her name. She's a good friend, but I don't. I'm not gonna. She used to call it "Pet the Animals Night" whenever where the section of the show was "Pet the Animals Show," and where they would people thought that they saw you as something that they could just. I don't know. I mean, there's. I mean, I don't think society went bad 4 years ago or 2 years ago or last week. It's been messed up for a long time. We just chose to ignore it. Um,
Oh,
so
I
so
know.
so and so I think that the thing is, you have that experience, and I have too, and it is kind of amazing that yeah, people, when it comes to shows and interacting with people, it gets a little weird. It does get a little weird.
Yeah. It's especially that night, they were all so drunk,
Hmm.
and they were after the show, they were buying me drinks,
Hmm.
and I
Sure.
don't know what was in this guy's head. I really don't. Like, why
Hmm.
would you haul off and punch somebody,
Hmm.
especially a woman? You know,
Right.
like, why
Right.
would you do that? So they were all buying me drinks, and they thought that I was so drunk because sometimes I'm a big character. So they were all talking that they needed to call a cab to drive me home. And I'm
Hmm.
overhearing this. And as I'm overhearing this, I made myself really small, and I walked right out in front of them as they were waiting to get the cab,
Hmm.
and they didn't even see me. They
Hmm.
didn't, they were so drunk. They
Hmm.
didn't even see me. And
Right.
I was like, you guys, I gotta get out of here. You guys
Right.
are
Right.
just you were gone 2 hours ago.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was so funny though, because I went over and I always have a whole bunch of bags. So
Yes.
I got my bags and I walked really meekly out, and they didn't even know it was me.
Mhm,
They
mhm,
didn't even know it was me. And I was sitting at the bar with them.
mhm.
They were looking at, and as I was walking out, they were like, "Where'd she go? Where'd she go?"
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it is amazing when you do something like this. How your perception of things can change. I used to, when you're an actor, you adore attention. But after doing a Tony and Tina's wedding, especially, where when we were doing it for like 350 people a show, and I recall there were times when I would just, like, I wouldn't even want to be around people for like days because I was just so tired of being like, you have to be super nice, and you know.
Yeah, I was exhausted, and
Hmm.
so many
Hmm.
crazy things happened during that show.
Sure,
I
sure.
mean, I could not believe that there was that many people that we had to perform for.
Hmm.
I mean, close. And me, I was so exhausted every night because and then I think somebody said to me, "Oh, well, I don't I don't like the way you do that or whatever." I'm like, "Who's going to get these people through this line if I don't push them? We're going to be here for 5 hours doing a
Right, right,
show.
right.
That, and when are we getting paid?"
Yeah, right, exactly.
I mean, we're going to be here for 5 hours if I don't push them through.
Right, right. No, absolutely. And like, the question of rate's going to be one of the weirdest things that you recall in doing that show. One of the weirdest things I recall, and I just heard about it secondhand, was during our Valentine's Day show. A couple was caught in the men's room having sex. Not a couple in the show, but couple in attendance at the show as patrons were caught having sex in the bathroom. But that. I mean, there's others, but that's the first one that came to my mind. Do you remember anything weird about doing that show?
Yeah.
Uh oh.
Um, do you, yeah, we had a packed house one night. It was
Mm,
packed. And I don't think you remember. It looks like you don't remember this.
I don't know. It's
They called an ambulance.
oh, when somebody fell. Oh yeah, I remember that. Absolutely, yeah.
But I think somebody else got real sick that night and they had to call another
Oh,
ambulance.
I didn't know that.
I
I
think,
I remember we're doing this show, and of course, there's one part where because it's a wedding, where you have the wedding dances, and in the middle of the wedding dances, somebody coming to see the show, fell
right.
and got hurt, and the show just stops. I mean, it is like done. Ambulance comes in,
Mhm.
and everybody's like, "What's going on?" Like, yeah, well, and then people keep saying, "Oh, because I'm playing the priest." Like, go pray for me. Yeah, okay. This is just a show. All right, I'm not a real priest. We're good. I totally broke character. It was one of the few times in that show I totally broke character. It's like, no, the show isn't. We're stopping. We're timed out here. And then while this was going on, because then you feel like questions, like either people are asking you what to do, or like, why don't you go help her? And I'm just like, I think a lot of the actors just went and left for that time period. You couldn't because you were the caterer, right? Oh wait, we lost your sound. I think. Oh no. Oh no. Let me. Okay, so we're back. Should be okay now.
You can hear me?
I can hear you. Uh
Okay.
oh. Uh oh, it's cutting out again. No. I won't get
Oh,
this.
sorry.
There we go. All right. Hey, we had a technical difficulty. I think we're okay. So, but yeah, so we finished up the weirdest accident at Tony and Tina's wedding, and but you couldn't leave.
No, I I couldn't leave, and I felt very uncomfortable because
Mhm.
basically the whole cast left, and
Right.
I'm there. But I know that they were looking at you for assurance too, because you were the priest. So I don't think you could have left either. And Latcha, I'm like, what are we gonna do?
Mm.
Like, what are we gonna do? And then all of a sudden, oh, we're going with the show. The
Yeah.
ambulance came, they took her away, and we went on with the show.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know
Uh,
what? Actually, the last thing I did before we closed down was I did a reading in New York,
mm.
and the same author. One of the gentlemen in that show was the original Tony and Tina's. He even created the character. I think he created Jack's character, an uncle.
Oh, okay.
He's so funny. He's a great actor.
Nice. Nice. All
I'm like,
right.
oh my gosh, we did the Tony and Tina's when it went to Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, that's interesting when you meet other people who have done the show elsewhere. That is pretty cool.
When he
And
wrote
he
it,
originated it too.
yeah, he helped write it.
Oh wow. Hope he gets some residual money from all that. Um Now this is where I ask weird questions.
Okay.
Um Question number 10, I believe. Where is the first place you look for a lost item? When you lose something, where do you first look?
Well, I try to think, where's the last place that I left it?
Sure.
So, in my pockets and my car.
Yeah, cars. I just go right to my car because that is probably where I left it. That's I check my car first. That's the first place I look. So, question number 11. So, when you're doing a show or before a show, we were talking before about idiosyncrasies, things we do before a show or don't do or whatever. I don't like to talk to anybody. I like to be by myself. I don't try. A lot of times, most of my shows now are improv. I don't try to be funny for like a good half hour. I don't want to lose the funny or whatever. So, what idiosyncrasies do you have? And this is question number 11.
Well, it's funny that you asked that because I took a couple of classes recently, and the casting directors, they don't want you to be talking to people when you go in.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when we used to go into audition in Pittsburgh, everybody wants to talk, and I just wouldn't do it. And I'd even call some of my friends afterwards and say, "Look, I need to study the script before I go in. I don't I don't want to do that." So I try to get into my character because sometimes my characters are so off the wall that I really need to study who I am because
Mm-hmm.
all these people are in my head.
There you go. Now,
Except for Loretta. Loretta, when I played Loretta and Tony and Tina's, I it was half working, half acting, because I
right,
had to
right, right,
shuffle
right,
all these people through.
right. Question number 12. Um, who is an influential actor in your either somebody you're influenced by, somebody you have like maybe taking things from people that who maybe have been your idols when you were first acting, or even now.
Um, very influential. Meryl Streep has been very influential to
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm. I can see that absolutely.
I love Marlene Dietrich.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I watch her. I watch her stuff. I watch her performances. And John Malkovich.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
I I saw John Malkovich live do
Oh
Burn
really?
This. Yes. And riveting, 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 riveting. I mean, this was over 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I just could not believe how riveting he was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was in the balcony, and it was not a musical, it was a straight play, Burn This.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just the way he swung
Mm-hmm.
on the curtain drapes, he was totally riveting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is a very good actor. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He is somebody that definitely he just is able to he has that thing of being able to take a character and take it to a place that is so much more, I don't know, interesting is not even the right word. He takes just an average character and he makes it full blown. He can make a an average character that somebody else or would take, he can make it like a three-dimensional, very real. So he's a very talented actor, absolutely. Now your final question. I tried to you kind of touched on one question I was going to do, so I'm going to go with this question. This is one of my favorite questions. I ask a lot of guests this question. Um, now, if you could have the Susan Skosko meal at
The,
like a meal, like a Burger King, like a Happy Meal, like if you could pick the place and the restaurant, and what would be in that meal, what would be your favorite meal that you would put in a hat, like the Susan Skosko meal? What's your favorite?
I absolutely love seafood and Cajun food. And when I was younger, I toured, and one of the places I went was New Orleans. New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans. I just love their food. I love jambalaya. I love shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
I love crawfish, um, crawdads, etouffee. I love and their barbecued shrimp too.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious. They have a wonderful restaurant. I think it's the oldest restaurant in the United States. It's called Antoine's,
Mm-hmm.
and it's right down in the heart of New Orleans. And they have some really good food. Some nice champagne, maybe some oysters.
Okay, so like
Oysters,
a sample platter with some champagne and maybe make sure there's some oysters on there.
yes.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So we call that the Susan meal. Right.
Okay.
Very good. Now you'd be able to get that anywhere, not just in New Orleans, right?
True, but they have the better jambalaya,
Okay.
and they have a different way of doing the barbecued shrimp.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Well, there you go. You made it. You did 13 questions. We had to kind of, because we had a little technical difficulty there. We sped up on the end, but we made it. But we're not exactly done, because one of the rules of this game is that I ask you 13 questions, but now you get to ask me one. I don't know how good I am at answering these questions, but I try. So go ahead, shoot me with your question, and we'll see if I can answer it.
Oh, I just want to tell you one thing. I'll be improving on the 30th with
Yes,
Honey
please.
Bunny.
What's
With
that?
Honey, I'll be improving on the 30th with Honey Bunny. It's their year anniversary.
Oh yes, thank you. Yeah, that's another thing. See, is there anything else that you've got coming up?
Thank you. And I've been improving with Inner City Jam, and their jam on Sunday nights.
Mm-hmm.
And been taking classes with them. And I want to know,
Mm-hmm.
so did you, when I caught your show the other night,
Mm-hmm.
that's how we reconnected. I'm like,
Right.
I had to look at it. And then I started typing. Are you Francis Veltri? You said, did you take classes with Inner City? I'm
No.
sorry, Second City.
Yeah, I did at the training center. Absolutely. Yes.
Did you go through their whole program?
I actually, because I had improv training, I did not do, I think it was called A through E or one, it's a 1 through 5 course. I did the acting, improv, advanced improv courses. They let you skip the 5 and
Oh,
you do 1 and 2, and then you're allowed to audition for conservatory or do whatever you wanted to do. But then at that point, I didn't get in the first time to conservatory, and I was just really like upset. And then I was like, oh, I just want to be a writer. And so then I went writing at Second City. So I completed the writing program. So yeah, so that's sort of and then, it just takes a lot of time. Chicago improv is really time intensive. That's why I do enjoy the online stuff. But, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work.
and then I'm going to ask you one more question,
Sure.
if
Go
you don't
ahead.
mind.
Go ahead.
Did you ever consider, you are a defendant lawyer, correct? When people
I
get
do. I
sued?
represent defendants that are being sued by plaintiffs who were injured in car accidents or slip and falls or yeah, things like that.
Did you ever consider um, the business, representing somebody in the business?
Oh, you mean being like an agent
Well,
or
some,
like an entertainment lawyer?
yes.
You know what? I would love to do that, but I don't have the experience or I don't have uh, any training, and so it would definitely be something where for most of my all of my legal career, I've done defense side, insurance defense. So that's been pretty much what I've done. But would I love to do that? Sure. I don't know if my ADD would allow me to deal with contract writing. But the trial work would be no problem. If I had to go represent like Johnny Depp in some sort of contract action, I would think the trial would be easy. It would be the other part of oh, here's a 400-page contract, back
Mhm.
and forth. That I'd be like, oh God, I don't want to read this. But yeah, the trial part would be easy. I don't have a
Okay.
problem with that. It's like the improv thing. So it's the same thing for me. But yeah, have I ever thought about doing that? Yeah, I'd love to, but it's just sort of like you would have to definitely, I would like to learn from somebody doing that, and it just never sort of worked out in my career that I could ever really parlay what being an actor into being a contract lawyer, because generally I don't think they really, I don't think successful actors want other actors representing them. They're like, hey, you're funnier than me. I don't know. So that, yeah, yeah. So, well, that, guess what? We did the whole show, and we did it within the time frame we were supposed to, practically. So anything else that you've got coming up, or anything else that you want to just touch base with?
I want to thank you for this opportunity.
Mhm.
I also have been teaching a little bit of improv during the COVID, and I'll tailor a class to a small group.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Well, hey, thank you, Susan. I appreciate you for coming on to 13 and 1. And I'm the host, Francis Veltri. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and hey, Susan, you were great. We'll have you back as soon as I figure out how to do this better, which will be like 20 years from now. You'll be back on the 20th anniversary show.
you're
So,
awesome.
oh, thanks. Hey, thank you, Susan. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon. Hang in there. This is Francis Veltri. You've been watching 13 and 1.